Welcome to EUPrivacyForAll Session50 on GDPR, Article 62, Joint Operations of Supervisory Authorities. Article 62 on Joint Operations of Supervisory Authorities stresses that the supervisory authorities shall, where appropriate, conduct joint operations, including joint investigations and joint enforcement measures. Where the controller or processor has establishments in several member states, or where a significant number of data subjects in more than one member state are likely to be substantially affected by processing operations, a supervisory authority of each of those member states shall have the right to participate in joint operations. The supervisory authority, which is competent, shall invite the supervisory authority of each of those member states to take part in the joint operations, and shall respond without delay to the request of a supervisory authority to participate. A supervisory authority may, in accordance with member state law and with the seconding supervisory authority's authorization, confer powers, including investigative powers, on the seconding supervisory authority's members or staff involved in joint operations. Such investigative powers may be exercised only under the guidance and in the presence of members or staff of the host supervisory authority. Where staff of a seconding supervisory authority operate in another member state, the member state of the host supervisory authority shall assume responsibility for their actions. The member state of the seconding supervisory authority whose staff has caused a damage to any person in the territory of another member state shall reimburse that other member state in full. Each member state shall refrain from requesting reimbursement from another member state. And where a joint operation is intended and a supervisory authority does not within 1 month comply with the obligation laid down in previous paragraphs, the other supervisory authorities may adopt a provisional measure on the territory of each member state. Recital 134 stresses that each supervisory authority should, where appropriate, participate in joint operations. The requested supervisory authority should be obliged to respond to the request within a specified time period. Recital 138 announces that joint operations might be carried out between the supervisory authorities concerned on a bilateral or multilateral basis without triggering the consistency mechanism. Article 62 on the cooperation between the lead and other supervisory authorities concerned triggers the fact that the lead supervisory authority may request at any time other supervisory authorities concerned to provide mutual assistance and may conduct joint operations. Article 64(2) on the opinion of the board lays down that any supervisory authority, the chair of the board or the commission may request that any matter of general application or producing effects in more than one member state be examined by the European Data Protection Board with a view to obtaining an opinion, in particular where a competent supervisory authority does not comply with the obligations for mutual assistance. The Directive 95/46 in Article 28 that supervisory authorities have an obligation to cooperate with one another to the extent necessary for the performance of their duties. What should accountable data controllers and processors get prepared for? Controllers and processors will have to identify their lead supervisory authority and the supervisory authorities concerned. Additionally, they will have to know whether a supervisory authority is competent to trigger joint operations. The lead may request at any time other supervisory authorities concerned to provide mutual assistance, notably regarding joint operations. Controllers and processors will then have to bear in mind that joint operations could include joint investigations and joint enforcement measures. It was not retained that the lead would act as a single contact point for the processors or controllers concerned. A competent supervisory authority might confer powers, including investigative powers, on the seconding supervisory authority's members or staff involved in joint operations. Each supervisory authority may adopt a provisional measure on the territory of its own member state. The European Data Protection Board, on its side, will be addressing all issues resulting from the implementation of joint operations. The question triggered now is, will joint operations become the standard process to enforce EU data protection rules consistently across EU?